Okay, week 3 is upon us, and it's time for another chat with my two commentating colleagues, the oyster munching Doug and Stu. What were you called, Stu? Did you get?
I think I was just called Signor.
All right, okay.
Signor Stew.
All right, okay.
Quite laid back.
Happy with that, are you? How you doing, Doug? You all right with your oyster munching?
Oh, nothing wrong with a good oyster.
So, what sort of a week have you both had?
I had a good week.
Yeah, not so bad myself. Fairly quiet. It's gone quite cold here now.
Oh dear, I feel really sorry for you sitting here where I am. It's been snow and ice yesterday, and you're worried about the cold. And where you live, I bet it's nowhere near as cold as it is where I am. I even had to put the heating on.
12 degrees is freezing here.
Is it? I didn't think it ever got cold there.
No, we do. We get I don't know, probably 2 weeks over the whole year that actually drops to about this temperature.
Right,
you got to remember, we all have tiled floors. We don't have carpets or anything. So when it goes cold, floor just becomes like, I don't know. Yeah, very boring living out here.
And what's the weather like where you are then, Doug? I expect you're still on the beach, are you?
No, summer started, but we've had a lot of rain. It's fairly cool today, especially when it rains. So.
All right, and also I'm going to give you 2 pieces of patting on the back, Doug. Number one, what a superb job you made of painting your shop last week, which was a pretty good job. Have you got to do the touching up this week, have you, or something?
Yeah, I just got to touch it up. The landlord's already had a crack at me for paint splattering on the ground. He's all right.
Oh dear.
Didn't put the sheets down then, Doug.
No, it's all good because the picture framer who's 2 doors up, who he's friends with, wants to come in the shop and buy a small vibrator. I get this. This is a true story. Can't make up. He loves to fish for squid, and he wants to buy a little vibrator and shove it down the guts of a dead mullet, and then hang that off the hook into the sea with the vibrator inside of it, vibrating so it makes it look like it's alive.
What a clever idea.
I'd just like to point out that this is supposed to be a family show. Did you not know that? It goes out before the watershed. And whether we're supposed to be shoving sex toys down dead fish and dangling them in the sea, it's not really the sort of thing I was expecting to hear today. But there you go. If anybody's been offended by sexual antics with a dead fish in a vibrator, please contact Mr. D. Warren at the whatever it is, the Pink Passion Paradise, or whatever it's called.
Shady's Fishing Tackle Shop. I don't know.
Yeah, well, okay, that's an interesting one. Maybe you could branch out there, Doug, and that you could market that to championship fishermen and stuff. Buy a vibrator, win the fishing.
You already sell rods.
Oh, okay. And the second thing I was going to congratulate you on is not doing any gloating about the cricket. I mean, I was expecting to get that sort of some comments about the cricket after what happened the other day. So.
I didn't even, look, this is the first time in my life I haven't even followed the Ashes. It's going to be a whitewash. It sounds like your mob are a total disarray. And, we've got the head butter. He's on his way out to New Zealand. No, the king hitter. That's it, the king
hitter. Yeah. Well, we'll let you have the Ashes back for a little while.
Yeah, it's only fair. They're just on a sort of timeshare thing, aren't they, these days? And of course, yesterday we had the draw for the World Cup, and for a minute I thought we were going to get Australia in the same group as England, and that would have been really good. We could have had a SO6 commentators special while that was on, but sadly it didn't come out, and I can't remember what Australia did get. But to be brutally honest, if England can't get out of that group that they're in, they really do want locking up, don't they? Really?
Didn't have a bad. It's probably the best group you've had in years.
It'll make no difference.
No.
We'll get to the second round and go out on a draw as usual.
Yeah, we're getting knocked out by somebody on penalties. That'll be what'll happen. Anyway, back to the old SO6 in business. So we got Stu's Hot Horses.
Hi, and welcome to Hot Horses, week 2. Take a look back at a couple of races from last week on the flat and the hunt. And a couple of horses, I think, that look quite promising. So, the Brocklesby. This was looking a good race to about a furlong out with Rosina and Tenton. Were pretty much neck and neck. The furlong pole came up along and John Morgan's Rosina pulled away. Not bad for a first time out. Heading for a week 4 race now. We'll go to the Manor House Lily Agnes Stakes. And the second was Tenton. That was on its second run. It was just beaten ahead in its opening maiden race by Thunder Sparks Magnitude. did appear to stay on. Doesn't have any further declarations. This was also a length ahead of the Beasts Arrive for Josh. Again, last week it was a first-time winner over 6 furlongs. Obviously dropped to 5 furlongs here. Stayed on well. Doesn't have any further entries, but I imagine it needs 6. Okay, moving on. The other race I thought we'd go to was race 31 on your card, which was the Queen of the Turf at Randwick. It was a Group 1 in Australia. This was actually won by You're So Thrilling for Paul Rhodes. Really unlucky on its maiden run. It was pulled up and injured, but came out a week later and got a real easy win. Won by 3 lengths from Jim Murray's Signal Road Girl, which was pretty prominent most of the way and was leading to around about a furlong out again, taken over by You're So Thrilling from Paul. You're So Thrilling goes to the 1,000 guineas, a must be favourite. I'd probably put my house on it. But Signal Road Girl run well, but was 3 lengths behind, and that was followed by 3rd place Tara's Q for Joshua Sutherland. Joshua has a lot of time for this horse. Stayed on quite well. It won its maiden, but it just got up and was obviously staying on in this race over a mile as well. So I imagine, funny enough, it goes in the Group 3 Dahlia Stakes over 1 mile 1, and I would imagine it will get its 2nd win of the season there. Just that extra furlong does look what it needs. Moving on to the hunt, race 8 on your card was the West Yorkshire Hurdle Group 2, and horses for courses. This is a Josh Sutherland horse. Hexbag, phenomenal winner, won by 5 1/4 lengths. That's 2 out of 2 for this one. It's obviously a hurdler with some real good class. It's going to drop in class this week and go into the Dublin Coast, which is a listed race, but has got to be favourite for that. The 2nd horse in that race was Sky the Saints of Darren Thompson. It was 4th on its opening maiden, stepped up to a Group 2 this week, obviously jumped well, but found obviously Josh's Hexbag just a little bit too hot to handle. If it carries on that way, it could certainly be one of the horses of the year. That then moves me on to the Moors Million. It was the leg 2, race 14 on your card, and this had a few runners and riders in it, pretty much covered by most of the trainers. Again, as we know, all trying to get our runs in prior to the entries for the Grand National. Anyway, this was taken by Ettrick Mill for Martin Leadham, and it stayed on. It was its first time out, looked quite promising. Won by 1 1/2 lengths from Jim Murray's Churchtown Boy, which is also a first time out. Raced quite prominently. That was also a couple of lengths ahead of Gas and Air for Marty Cairns, which was about a length further behind. It was 2nd on its maiden. That's going to go on to the Florence Nightingale Group 3 this week. We'll obviously go up against Ettrick Mill again. We've got a rating of 136. So Martin will be looking probably for it to come about 10th this time to drop some of that. Because if you head towards the National with that kind of rating, you're going to struggle off of a 12. So it's a bit of a quick and short hot horses this week. I'll have a look over next week, but you have to say Hexbag looks money on, and also I would say You're So Thrilling for the guineas. A nice little double there.
Anybody else got anything that they were particularly excited about last week? You, Doug, very nearly got yourself a jumps winner, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a horse that went, he was 4th in a Group 3.
Wow.
Grade 3 race, and close up 4th, and that's the closest I've really been to any sort of decent mark.
That's good.
In a fairly full field, so...
And off the mark as well, on the flat, off the mark, your first winner of the season?
Yep, no, that was nice as well. Small field, but you still got to win.
Winner's a winner. What about you, Stu? You sort of capitalised on that Group 3 win on the first week yet, or did you have a bit of a disaster last week?
Unfortunately, a bit of a disaster all round, to be honest with you. They all just seemed to be going backwards, and I really did make a little bit of an effort to breathe this time. But you know me, I don't really improve. If anything, I'm going backwards, as usual. So well done to you. That 4-miler horse you've got there looks rather special.
Well, it's a funny thing, that, isn't it? Because it's a double-edged sword, really. Because it's the first time I've won a long-distance race like that. But it's a game-bred horse, so I can't take any credit for it whatsoever. I just got lucky about it in an auction. So it's one of them things where you don't.
Well, game-breds do well. They're just the same. They're in your stable. Don't knock them. I have a few. Librano was a game-bred.
Oh, was he? Well, it does seem to be the way with them 4-milers, doesn't it? I can't get one. The one on bred's useless, but that one I was amazed when it won, because the bars on it are so bad I nearly didn't put it in. So I really don't know what. It's a funny thing. Them bars.
It got rated 136.
Yeah, I know, that's the end.
That's going to go up. You want it to come last this week.
Yeah, I do. That could be the end of that. No, I only had 2 winners, didn't I?
No, only 2.
So then, what we got then this week? We've got first classics of the season. We've got a brand new classic we've never had as well. Do they call that a classic in Australia, Doug? That Randwick Guineas that we've got, or do they not refer to them as classics over there?
It's one of the big 3-year-old races of the season.
Right, that's good. So we've got an extra classic in there to look forward to as well. So day one then is the 1,000 guineas, isn't it? The fillies. Shall we have a little look at that and see?
Sure thing.
See what we think.
Well, I'm going to stick my neck out. Even though he's got 2 runners, I think that You're So Thrilling. Did it not win by about 5 lengths in its last race? It was injured first race it out, and then I think it won by about 5 lengths last week. I've got a sneak feeling that will run them into the ground, all of them. Perhaps I'm putting my neck out on that one straight off. I should probably talk about others, but I've got a great... It just looks so good. And I think Paul's impressed with it as well. And if he's impressed with one of his horses, then there's every chance. And looking at the rest of the field, I mean, there's a couple of, obviously, Thunderspark and Steve Rahn. I mean, probably his biggest threats, I would imagine, because Steve Rahn's come along with some really, really good horses.
Yeah, was he around last season? I can't remember whether he was here last season or not. I know he was here the season before, but I can't remember whether he was.
Quiet one last season.
Really?
Season before he was pretty dominant. He was right up there.
Right, so that's what you're going. What do you reckon, Doug? You had a look at this race. Do you fancy anything?
Yeah, well, it's first of the races where you can have a multiple entry. We'll get onto that a bit later in the show. So that's interesting, that point of view. But I'm going to go for Thunderspark's horse.
Yeah. You're doing a commentator on this one as well, aren't you? This on the first day, so that'll be interesting. Oh, it's a funny one, really, isn't it? This, because there's nothing that's won both the first 2 weeks, which is surprising, really, because quite often there is. Like Stu said, isn't it? You can't really overlook Paul Rhodes, can you? Because you know that when he's putting his team together, he targets these Group 1 races and he targets these classics, because he is probably, of all the people that play it, the person that plays it as a realistic sim more than anybody else. So it's difficult to look past him, because you just know that he would have trialled these horses specifically for this race. But you then think that you also threw it, pulled up in its first run, didn't it, injured. Does that mean it's not got a particularly good sort of constitution and it could happen again? So do you look for his do you look at his other one? I don't know.
I think it's happened once.
Yeah, and I mean, Thunderspark obviously didn't enter any horses last week, so his June could well have been a back-to-back winner if it had run. So you might be right there, Doug.
It could, but the ground is firm, and Thunderspark states that June likes it soft. So do you know what I'm going to do? I think this is going to go to somebody a bit different. I think Darren Thompson's horses have been running really, really well this season. I know we're on the flat at the minute, but he had a couple of the jumps last week on the day one. Absolutely flew at the end, so he's definitely got some speed in his breeding lines. And I'm going to go for that Turquoise Velez, the top one, which is the top rated, so it's a bit of a cop-out, but that's the one I'm going for.
Let's see who's got it right next week. We should have done points. I can't remember what we on the first week, what we chose. I don't think I chose any winners either.
I can't remember, to be honest. But when we get to those big meetings, we'll have a proper competition again, like we did before. So that's going to be a good race then. And like I say, you're doing the call for that, aren't you, Doug? So we'll get on with the racing now, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
No worries.
That's great. Bye.
All right.